everybody. Hugo House. Thanks for having me back. This is the Hoard Explorer, and I recently just got back from a Alaska cruise. I've never actually been on a cruise before, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to, especially considering that in a former life, I would have found it just laughably egregious in its excesses. And by former life, I mean the mid-1990s, right around when I met Ariel here. Thanks, Ariel, for having me back. Back then, I got a job with Princess. I was booking not cruises, but packaged overland tours of Alaska, and it heavily featured trains and sleeping cars and such. While the job was primarily tied to a computer and a phone, there were still physical file cabinets and all that stuff. And at the time, I was really into the Situationists, so I would photocopy bits of Raoul Vanaghem's 1967 book, The Revolution of Everyday Life, on the company Xerox machines. And I would slip whole chapters of it into random folders in these filing cabinets that were lying all around. And I could get away with it because I worked Sundays and I was practically the only one in the building. And at the time, I saw that as kind of a message in a bottle, hoping to contact fellow lost souls and all that and inspire them to resist the humiliation and mediation of capitalist bondage. But in retrospect, I was just deeply resentful of having to have a job in the first place at all. And I was brimming with all the kinds of conceits of youth and poetry. And I was particularly contemptuous of the folks whose tours I booked. You know, people that I never met in person, but I visualized them as these sort of doughy bourgeois rubes with nothing more imaginative to do with their brief time on this planet. Shortly after that, I dropped out of the workforce, went back to college. So I guess I dropped out of being a dropout. I went back to school and I majored in creative writing. It's an effective ploy for forestalling re-entry into the workforce. And you could make a case that this was my way of sabotaging my future employability. Fast forward 30 years and I'm sitting here unemployed and I'm digging around in my suitcase of notebooks and scrapbooks and I find this collection of poems by my cohort at the Evergreen State College. The following was my submission to that publication, and I submit it to you, or resubmit it to you, to bring it full circle, fully embracing the ironies. So, Northbound on the Midnight Sun Express. Tom Scootin and Peanut are drinking Coca-Cola out of spite for their bodies as the doll sheep walk the dirt road north in silence. The murky Arctic tundra is drenched in the flash bulbs of diabetic tourists. Tom is chair-bound. Constitution sleeps, flowing tandem to the Alaska pipeline. Spooky Moo Moo eats baby food and is under medication, as we've noted in the itinerary. Get a chance to eat with the oil workers, cry the lonesome oil rigs. But the old ladies have all gone deaf, and the walkmen encrust in the heads of the children with glacial earwax. The insomniac sun spells adventure in broad, windswept brochures, or so says Mrs. Pootswinge, from the faraway 14th floor of the Captain Cook. But she is not here on the world's smooth and empty head. She will only ever pay money to sample the caribou's indifference and awe. She will never, ever volunteer to swim in the ice, or raise a team of white dogs for her sled, or be fat and warm in the company of Eskimos. Cold Foot is a truck stop and nothing more, and Peanut weeps like a baby for want of a real North Pole. They all roll along, passed out on these beds of trail mix and introspection, unable to kill time under such a big sky. Thanks again for having me back, Hugo House and Ariel. I hope to see you again someday. If you liked this poem or you want to razz me about anything, go to hoardexplorer.com and we can make a deal.